On live. Well, that's the red light. You know what that means? That means we're live. The show has finally started, brothers. We are fresh off of WrestleMania, and there was quite a bit to talk about because for the many highs, it seems like we got that many lows. But we also have a lot of things to discuss in regards to WWE finally being sold to Endeavor Sports. What does that mean? What is to come? What does that mean for the WWE in total? But guess what? We're going to get into that all of those conversations right after this.
Houston, we have a problem.
What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Woo! It's a new season, baby.
Fellas, watch this.
And I think he's frozen. Are we watching him be frozen?
Am I back?
There you go. You're back.
Am I back?
We don't know,
Am I back?
we don't know where you went.
Yeah.
Wait, am I back? Okay, let's try this again. Welcome to the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast, where we take a deeper dive into the world of professional wrestling. Now, you can watch our flagship show, The Wrestling Wrealm, and all the content anytime on youtube.com/The Wrestling Wrealm. I am your host, the realness himself, the real Dwayne Allen. He is your host, the Jack Daddy himself, Brian H. Waters. He is your host, Brandon the guy, and conspicuous by his absence, he is your host, has the third H to the A to the S, T to the H to the E, 3 to the R to the D, and we are the Wrestling Wrealm. You can follow us on social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Wrestling Wrealm, 2Ws. Like, subscribe, and engage in the conversation with us. You can also stream it down all of our audio content on Anchor, Stitcher, Podbean, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. You can watch and subscribe to our Twitch channel at the Wrestling Wrealm. See how fast that was? You see what I did? I just jumped right into it. We're running behind today, so it's okay. You can shop now, everything Wrestling Wrealm at WrestlingWrealm.com. That's right. T-shirts, mugs, hoodies. Shop our merchandise. Support the brand. Support being a fan of superior wrestling intellect. So many things to buy, including this. The Jack Daddy Brian H. Waters t-shirts go along with him on his fitness journey as Brian H. Waters has transformed his mind, his body, and soul. And we celebrate that transformation with this Jack Daddy Brian H. t-shirt. And if you purchase this t-shirt, guess what? You will receive a special message from Brian H. at some point in time. So you can look forward to that if you support Brian H. by buying this t-shirt at WrestlingWrealm.com. That's where you can find all of our merchandise. Also, subscribe to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/wrestling_realm for all exclusive shows, content, and bonus material. We are revving up as we kind of take this new journey into what is considered widely to be known as the new season of professional wrestling. But that goes as well as far as content creation. So patreon.com. You can find things such as Brian H's thoughts. You can find out about his first WrestleMania trip and all the tea that ended up getting spilling while he was there with him and has the third, as well as exclusive content like Wrestling Figure Wednesdays, Brian H's thoughts, and so much more to come. Also, we have added a brand new show, brand everything to the Wrestling Wrealm. Championship Culture featuring Brandon the guy. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Championship Culture is a new brand. It's an aspect of the wrestling realm that has been there, but now we have someone that can focus on it full time. Brandon is known as the Belt King, but he is the Belt King for a reason. He has brought so much to the table, and there's so much the content to come, including shows, reels, exclusive live unboxings, advice about championship replicas, vendors, where to buy them from, what's legit and what's not legit. Tune in. Coming soon. Championship Culture to the Wrestling Realm. We definitely welcome Brandon the guy, and his brand, Championship Culture, to the Wrestling Realm. Also, if you are looking if you're looking to purchase tickets for concerts, events, and so much more, guess what? You can use purchase code Wrestling Realm to get $20 off of your purchase on tickets that are $50 or more. This is a one-time purchase, by the way. So if you're looking to buy tickets for the first time and you're looking to save $20 on your purchase of $50 or more, and I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be a problem as much as tickets cost these days, you can head over to SeatGeek right now and use promo code Wrestling Wrealm. That's two W's, WRESTLING, WREALM. Bam. SeatGeek.com. $20 off your purchase. And gentlemen, here we are.
So what do you want to talk about?
I was waiting. I was gonna say it, but
That's the perfect segue.
you see, I sat back, right? I sat back on that.
You see, like as soon as I read it, I was like this, and I hunched over,
Look, with the exception, with the excuse of having a dying phone during the main event and needing to catch an Uber and being in Inglewood, so I had to preserve my battery.
Inglewood always up to no good.
No good.
I said, well, you know, it's actually cool. It was nice. It was nice out there.
Is it gentrified?
I mean, I couldn't tell. You know, I only went there for WrestleMania 2 nights.
Okay.
I will say this. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save all my gloating until the show because I told you that the tribal chief will reign supreme.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, that was so perfect. That was so perfect, you know, because
I think you might be the only one on this show that actually called that.
Let's see, is this still on here? No, it's not. You know, I know where it's at. I know.
Well, I heard the yes chance. It seems fitting.
Yeah, but you know, that's not. This where is it? This I was
no, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
Ouch. That's not cool. The crazy part is I took it off, but I had one of the Realness Reacts acknowledge me sound bites on here as well. But we had to make room for something else. But that hurts a little bit. That was too much.
Look, I'm just saying, you know, what a match. But yeah, so what y'all want to talk about?
All right, well, let's just go there, gentlemen. We're running behind, and I promise I'm not keeping you guys late because we have to do Realm after dark. So that means when the show goes black, the show will continue, and we're going to have a show after the show. So we're not going to be before you know.
After party.
Brian usually does his his drive-through Wrestling Wrealm shows when he's trying to speak through. And today we're going to do our best to get to that point. So we're going to get down to the point. We're here to talk about WrestleMania. We're here to talk about WrestleMania 39 recap in Los Angeles, California. Brian H., you were there. You got to experience it live and in person. You got to do a lot of cool things while you are there. So before we get into what everybody thought about the show, could you just go ahead? You might as well. I mean, you kind of already started. Why don't you go into telling us about your trip? Do you want to tell people what you do? I don't know.
Yeah, man. Look, yeah, because I want them to tune into the content, man. Over 15 hours of audio and produced for the Ring of Wrestling show. You can check that out. Even Spotify, the people at Spotify was so gracious to create us a playlist. So if you have a Spotify podcast app, go in there. You just search WrestleMania 39, and there's a full podcast playlist of all the shows, including yours truly, sitting down on the couch with my guy, Stat Guy Greg, talking to former WWE champion Drew McIntyre. One of the highlights of the interview, I asked him, did he have any advice for Cody Rhodes going into this match? You know, I said, you got any advice for him? We had already talked to him about the Intercontinental match. I asked him about him cutting the ring last year because I always wanted to know, like, did Rey Mysterio get upset? And he said, no, he's a nice guy. But he said, you know, one of the things he would have to do is go through and attack the whole family because that's the only way to beat Roman is you gotta go through the whole family. He said, my gosh, it's so many of them. He said, I had to go knock on The Rock's door and beat him up too. And I love The Rock, but gotta take him out. So that was pretty cool. I gotta give a shout out to a little homie that a few of us met, and that's a whole little homie Zach, man. Zach is about 10 years old, and when I tell you this kid was so intelligent, and this is the third time he's gonna get a shout out today, as we gave him one on Wednesday Worldwide, as we gave him one on Fan Club. He was sitting there in front of us, me, Cal, Queen PR, Andreas Hale, Ben Cruz, Krista B, and Zach. It was to a point where, you know how it was when we would go to WWE shows in 2011, and those kids, it was the same energy. But Zach wasn't just rooting and yelling for his favorite wrestler. He was giving actual breakdowns on why he was conflicted at 10 years old. Conflicted on if he wants the bloodline to retain the titles or if he wants Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to win the titles. And legitimately, and
the
even
conflict.
I even had to give a shout out to his dad because and I said, man, you first of all, the brother took not one, not two, but 3 children to WrestleMania.
Oh wow.
God so I was man. Yeah, and he said, look, man, I ain't really into this, but this is his thing. Okay. So bingo. So, he took down all our podcast names, so he might tune in. So I definitely wanted to give him a shout out.
Where are they from?
California, I guess.
Oh. No, I was just wondering. I'm like, how far did he travel? He brought him.
No, I didn't even get into all that, to be honest with you. Because he said he wasn't sure if he was coming. They didn't come tonight too. Which was like, man, because like even as Cal said earlier, he said, man, take 4 decades of Cal and put it in a 10-year-old, and that's what you have right there in Zach. But man, just overall the weekend was great. Like I said, work was phenomenal. Got a chance to chop it up with Bailey. She was just an absolute joy to speak with. She's somebody who, she knows who she is, but she still said like she always has something to prove. And you look at Bailey, like, what else you got to prove? But just that hunger and that fire and desire. That's why it's unfortunate on what's going on. We hoping that I hope that whatever it is they get it done, because I don't want to see Bailey leave the WWE. But I wouldn't be surprised to see her join her wrestling soulmate, as she said she wants Sasha to come back, and they, because that's her dream match at WrestleMania. So that's a little bit, Wale Mania. There's a couple exclusive photos on the Patreon that I left there that I had the honor of taking from Wale Mania. Just to say, one of them is a former women's champion that won the title at WrestleMania. And if you know me, it's the only time I actually shed a tear in the building. So if you dig deep in the Wrestling Wrealm, you'll know what I'm talking about. I probably gave it away. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Shout out to all the homies was out there representing well. Shout out to Mello Hayes, your new NXT champion. Got a chance to chop it up with him. He actually remembered last year we took the photo at Wale Mania with the matching shoes. Shout out to the homie Wesley. We know as Devion, he did his thing. He was in VIP at Wale Mania. Like they had a NXT VIP, and he was like, yo, like told the security guards, like, no, that's my boy. Let him through. He's like, all right, you can only come by yourself. I'm like, I'm literally standing here by myself, but whatever. So it was always good, but it was a great time. Los Angeles. If it was only one negative thing about the trip, it's only one negative thing, and that was the weather. The weather never
really.
It never got above 70.
Wow.
Yeah.
In California.
In California, everybody was like, yo, coming from the East Coast, we was looking forward to that. Man, I had a bunch of chalk line shorts packed and didn't wear not one of them.
You know what? Now that you mentioned it, I saw a lot of chalk line jackets. And I probably should. I guess I didn't pay any mind, but I'm like,
think it was more fashion thing? You wearing the jacket?
Yeah.
No, we was all rocking chalk line. Shout out to Sir Wilkins, who like, yo, let's get this chalk line photo taken. Me, him, Queen PR of those wrestler girls. So. We was all rocking our chalk line. So we, did the chalk line family thing. Of course, the chalk line people, they loved it. Shout out to them. So I'm going to get the Hollywood jacket. I'm gonna get them from Chalk Line's website, use the promo codes. But then I'll get the Hollywood jacket. I wore last year's jacket and then the one from WrestleMania 36. I actually wish I was like, man, I only underpacked because I only took 3, and I was like, I wish I would have took more. I had the Classic Mania too, but yeah, and Dylan says, can we acknowledge that stage? Absolutely. The best set, in my opinion. I know I may be biased, but when I walked in there, I was like blown away. Like
Triple H said the same thing.
Yeah, it's just like, wow. So like, and on my way to the presser Sunday night, well, actually leaving the presser, just walking on the floor, I kept looking at it, like not real close to it, but just kind of closer, and just looking up at him like, yo, this is amazing. So that's a quick recap. It's funny because I haven't done no like full recap of the show. But to me, and I know y'all gonna say, you say this every year, I thought last year was the best WrestleMania. It was my favorite WrestleMania.
You literally say this every time you go to whatever the latest one is. That's it.
You know what? The only one I can say I can dial back on is 33. I think because everything that like happened don't exist no more. Like it's just like they just erased it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But this
That's
one,
fair.
from start to finish, and you know what the best part is? The TV doesn't do justice how loud it was in there. Whatever
I can only imagine, bro, because it was loud on TV. You know, we had
you,
that discussion all the. I'm like, man, I know it's loud in there because
yeah,
usually,
like you could barely hear.
like when you watch like a regular TV show, Monday Night Raw, right? It doesn't seem that loud,
Mhm.
that big of a deal. But like when you go to an actual show, you're like, man, it's loud in here. It's really packed, and that shows you the difference in sound. So when you're home and you hear how loud it is from the TV, you're saying, oh, I can only imagine how really loud it is. Like, because I'm telling you, like I watch Monday Night Raw and not be phased by it. But
Mhm.
we could drive to a show and you'd be like, man, it's live in here. And then you watch it back on TV, like, oh, it didn't look all that live. So trust me, I can only imagine
Yeah,
how loud it was.
the loudest pop I've ever been in was when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens won the belts.
No, you
You
did.
know,
I can't. What you say? I didn't. Keep it a little bit louder. You
when
said when who did what?
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens won the
Oh yeah,
tag titles.
I remember that match.
You know,
Was that like that was on? So that was louder than Cody's "Whoa" during his song when they all yelled it.
The whoa,
Whoa!
whoa.
Which one was louder?
yeah. Sammy and Kevin was louder because
Oh,
people had been like up, and then when it like finally happened, just like that place exploded, you know.
Mm.
And I would say like having two nights definitely benefits because people are able to keep that same energy throughout, you know. Oh, another highlight for me was Wale Mania. I mean, I was, getting content for the Ringer. I had the keys to the Ringer social, so I was
Hmm.
doing a lot of Instagram stories. And at one point, I remember I got up there and I was doing I was getting the videos. The Usos came out.
Hmm.
Emilio Sparks hands me the microphone. I'm like, what I need with this? So I'm like, okay, I'm holding the microphone. Then as soon as I could, I gave it to what I think I probably gave it to Solo. Oh, but he wasn't supposed to talk, but he still did. Y'all got to listen to the Masked Man episode to hear what he said. Wasn't necessarily family friendly, but then afterwards, listen to Jimmy and Jay, and I said to Jimmy, I said, man, it was crazy out there. He said, it's lit out there. Who's saying it? And I was like, yeah, man. And talking with I actually talked to Solo about telling him like that me and Lance kind of came up in the business together. Like as Lance was starting out, we were starting the Wrestling Wrealm. And so, it was pretty cool. They was cool. Trinity, just the absolute sweetheart, as y'all can imagine.
Of course, yeah.
She saw a picture of my daughter. I was telling her about it, like that she's a fan. I showed her pictures. She was like, "Oh my goodness, look at her natural hair and stuff like that." So, Ricky Stark said he knew who I was, like he heard of me, knew who I was, which kind of shocked me.
Was he giving you Hollywood talk? Or is he for real?
I don't know. He said, "Oh, I know. I just heard that name before." Like, what?
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, I believe he's heard your name before.
Yeah,
He
I
had
tell
to.
you, it was cool catching up with Adam Cole though. Cool catching up with Adam Cole and Britt Baker.
He was at they were at
There was
Wally Mania.
yeah. I was like, "This your first time?" He said, "No, I've been here before, but man, it feels so good to be back." So it's cool catching up with them. So
Mhm.
it was a big family reunion there. It's definitely a big family reunion. Just like I said, just to see people show up, show out, watching all the media homies do their thing.
Mhm.
Getting up early the next morning, 8 o'clock, going to the presser, doing their thing. That was cool. A couple of people, hit the ignore button, but it's all good. Uh, but it was a lot
Wait.
of fun.
So, hold on, time out. So, a couple, hold on, a couple of people called you. You hit the ignore button, or you called a couple
Mm-mm,
of people and they hit the ignore button.
I'm saying walking around, they made left turns like they didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Heel turns.
I was about to say, do you think I have to do with any heel turns? Because when Hogan first turned heel, I mean, a lot of people didn't speak to him afterwards either. How fitting is it that you have an NWO shirt on right now? No, it's okay. We're not gonna go. We'll leave it alone.
But I'll
But
tell you what was cool though.
yes, sir.
Meeting Dominic and meet Dominic in person and Rhea Ripley.
I can only imagine. There. I think anytime you deal like with younger talent, like the young folks, you're gonna you get to experience a different side of them, and it sounds like you had a lot of fun, man. It's I'm looking forward to just all the content that comes from just that entire trip that you had. But we're gonna go to Brother Brandon real quick. I want you to hold your thoughts about WrestleMania, Brandon. You said it was you felt like it was the best one ever. Now, are you saying the best WrestleMania ever that you ever enjoyed, or just the best one that you've ever experienced? Because there's a difference.
Yeah. Definitely experience, but also when I say enjoyed, I mean I'm going like watching the matches, right?
Mhm.
All the matches to me, I mean, all right, there's no perfect WrestleMania. I said this earlier,
Sure, of
right?
course.
People can talk about 17 is the greatest WrestleMania. That's always put in high regard.
Why do you
I
say
re-
it like it's not true? Though? You like the greatest
because I
WrestleMania?
recall you and I sitting there watching Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle, and you like, yo, please fast forward this match. Um, and then there's also like the triple threat with
Oh
Raven.
yeah, I guess you got a point. I
Yeah,
forgot.
Raven, Big Show, and Kane. You know, there's matches on there that are duds too.
Yeah,
It's
you know
just
what?
that
You're
it's like
absolutely right.
the height of the Attitude Era. But with this one, was if there was like, all right, if there was like a ranking of the week is 3 matches or maybe 2.
Okay.
Really, I'm saying, as much as I hate to say this, the women's tag match, only because, and I don't even think it was a bad match. I thought it did exactly what it had to do.
I
The
thought it was
crowd
pretty
wasn't
decent.
into it, unless you like, were a fan. But
Sure.
I actually didn't hate the finish of Ronda making everybody like just getting in there, getting the tap out and being out. I didn't hate that at all because of who Ronda Rousey is.
I love it. She's
Right.
a heel.
Exactly. Edge and Finn Balor. It's hard for me to really criticize that match. I know a lot of people say felt like it didn't deliver. I was into the match
Really?
more. Yeah, I was into this match from Edge
Hmm.
more than I've been in a while. Because last year at WrestleMania, I kept waiting for it to get started. Right. Him and AJ
Right.
Styles. I was like, okay, are y'all gonna get going? Are y'all? And
Oh
then with
shoot,
this
they had a match last year.
bingo, that's when
Wow, I
Judgment Day
forgot
got
about
started.
Exactly.
Damian Priest comes in the ring.
Wow.
But this one I was into it.
They
But
did
then it
to
was
deliver
like
the
the
main event.
injury
Sorry.
happened,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
then I didn't understand the Demon losing. And it was like, and then the intro, it's like the interest was fire, but why you put Brood Edge? Like I was waiting for the music to cue.
Music. Yeah. Yeah. I was. That's. Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember
That's.
like Krista kept saying, "Oh, it's gonna be Brood Edge." She been saying this like for 3 weeks, and I'm like, "Girl, whatever, right?" And then when that happened, like you just see her like go crazy, and I'm like, "All right, yo, you was right." But then you don't see them come out. You don't hear the music. And I was like, yeah, look what we got. We literally got the words Brood Edge. That
And
was it.
and no Brood music.
Yeah. And then he comes to his
Boo.
classic music,
Yeah.
So those, but everything else, like I love Brock and Omos. I love the tag match with the men. I thought, Angelo Dawkins got his WrestleMania moment.
Mhm.
So that was pretty cool to see. I don't know if y'all saw in the replay, but I ended up on TV with
No, I
Ray and
didn't.
Ray and Dom, when they do a replay, they put them on the face of the guy who's got a Rey Mysterio mask, and I'm on the right side of him.
I gotta catch that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's doing one of the replay during the match. My homegirl, Megan, shout out to her. She texted me and was like, "Bro, I just saw you on TV." I'm like, "What?" Like screenshot that joint. And then my aunt was like, "She's like, I told your uncle it was you, but we ain't believe he ain't believe me." She's like, "But I knew what shirt you had on."
Sure. Yep.
So that was cool. So I haven't finished watching the whole show. But Charlotte and Rhea, they delivered. They delivered. I think it was also because of the inside controversy on who should main event. So they went out there to prove a point. But then the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn had to prove a point. But I tell you, I never seen a crowd so split. Now in with this. Then after the main event, when Roman Reigns won, you saw people mad, you saw people happy, you saw people trolling, and I thought that's how you deliver.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap up your whole synopsis of the WrestleMania weekend,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask you the tough questions. I talked to Brother Corey, my fix and
Mm.
my fix, and I asked him. I said, "How same thing I always ask him. How was the show? I know you experienced it live. He's the same thing you said. It's electric. It's nothing like it." And I asked him what was his favorite night one and night two, and he said night one.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him why. I said, well, why was do you feel night one was? He said he just felt like it was more action, as far as the live experience is concerned. And then I said, oh, you're gonna go back, why? He said, oh yeah, that's the first thing I'm gonna do, is gonna and just watch both nights straight. So I ask you, sir, what night did you enjoy the most? Night one or night two?
Personally, I enjoy night 2 more.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I was in the presser at night 2.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
so I didn't get a chance to ask a question. I didn't get called on, but and shout out, yeah, I didn't get called on, but that was personally, and also it was I think because the main event took me for a ride that I like as a wrestling fan.
Sure.
I want to be, I want to be at the edge of my seat. I want to be nervous, and I want to conquer at the end. And that's what it did. Like a couple of months ago, when MJF beat Bryan Danielson, they took me for a ride, and I was disappointed. But I was supposed to be because I'm a fan. Looking at it that way, the match was great. And when I came back down and put my analyst hat on, so yeah, phenomenal match. But as a wrestling fan, my guy lost.
Sure.
But night one was electric too. But yeah, I think personally, I enjoyed night two better.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I have to ask you another controversial question, but I'm gonna let Brother Brandon go because I want him to get his 2 cents in. But here's what I'm going to ask you. I want you to think about it. Did WWE make the right call putting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos as the main event? Did it deliver in comparison to what could have delivered with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley? Just think about it. Don't say anything yet. I'm gonna get to it. But Brother Brendan, sir, you got to watch it from a different perspective. As Brian Ish was in person, you got to watch it in the comfort of your own personal space. And sometimes that can be a little bit of a different experience because you get to relax. You kind of get to experience the biggest show on earth in a more personable way. Like kind of custom fit to how you want to do so. No pun intended with your IG handle being custom guy 913. So Brother Brandon, tell us, what did you think of this year's WrestleMania 39 overall? I mean, tell us night one, night two, favorite matches, highlights, ups, downs. Take it away.
Overall, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, it gets a 9.5.
Really? That's how praise coming from you, because you're a tough sell because you've been around this block, you've seen a lot of wrestling, and you're not an easy person to really captivate as a wrestling fan. We're talking about a guy, ladies and gentlemen, that has gone into wrestling comas. Like he'll disappear for months at a time and be like, "Nah, I've been trying to look for other stuff back in the Indies, back across the water." So for you to give it 9.95, that's some Ninja Turtles type stuff. Remember the song 9.95? I'm showing my age, but go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you definitely are.
I did.
So, and I guess for me, night one was more impactful, and I enjoyed night one more because the matches. I felt like every match delivered on different levels.
Okay.
Versus night two, I felt like I was on a roller coaster ride, and it wasn't a bad roller coaster. I just felt like, how back when we used to watch SmackDown for the 2 hours, we're like, wow, that was a good 2 hours. Do you see Raw? You're like, that was 3 hours of okay, that was okay. Yeah, it was okay, but then and I credit that to me. I worked backwards on night one, so the tag team match, I knew that was going to be good. It had no choice but to be. You have the Usos, who are one of the greatest tag teams of this era, if arguably one of the greatest tag teams. We can argue that down another time. But then you had two people that know each other so well that can just work well together and can do things. And the whole story, not necessarily the bloodline, but if you go back and watch the match, they told a story in that match. And it was like, even to the point, it was like, okay, this is the moment. Go to Charlotte and Rhea. Regardless if they felt like they should have been main event or not, I always think that whoever has the biggest story should be the main event. And the bloodline was the biggest story. Rhea and Charlotte really didn't have much of a story outside of 2 weeks worth of, oh, remember I beat you for the NXT Women's title? Oh, I'm the Royal Rumble winner. And it was like, we forgot that in between hands, she was doing some stuff with Beth Phoenix and Edge, so really didn't get a chance to really pump her up to the point where the bloodline was, because the bloodline has been, let's be honest, 3 years now we into this? So I'm glad it's Charlotte Flair, though. So I knew that match was going to be, holy crap, let's see what they're going to do. And I was not let down at all. The other things on night one, the tag team match, perfect to me. The United States Championship match, I feel like Cena is slowing down, and he did the best that he could for what he could do. Like, that wasn't the same Cena from 5 years ago. And arguably, we're not going to get that same Cena. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, I'm okay with this. But overall, night one, I'm trying to think what else. What was the other highlight? The tag match. What else was on night one? Why am I drawing a blank? What was the other matches on night one? It was the tag, because night two was the Intercontinental match, right?
Yep. Yes. So night one was We got the SmackDown Women's Title match. We got the Showcase match.
Yes, the tag match.
We got Cena versus Austin Theory.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still forgetting something.
We got, I believe, Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. Was that
Oh,
night too?
Yeah,
That was night one, right?
yeah.
Yep.
Logan Paul and Seth,
Yeah.
and then Omos and Brock.
Omos and
No, that
Brock
was
started.
that open night too.
No,
Was
so
it-
so it was Omos and Brock that started the show.
Yeah, they
That was
open
night
night
two.
too.
Okay, but
How did you feel about Seth's entrance? Like,
so first off, I think that, and this is going to take you. This is going to laugh when you say this. I don't know if the wrestlers underestimate how long that ramp is. So you could tell Steph was like, "Oh shoot, wait a minute," and
Well,
he
they-
just like he was like, "Let me get some of this stuff off."
There's video of them practicing, which is interesting to see.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the whole
There you go,
connection out there.
Stephanie from the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. Hey, Stephanie. She said, Ray and
Right,
Dom.
that's what I was missing. Yes, but
Thank you,
Steph,
Dom.
Oh man,
Steph's outfit was the MVP of the both nights. That's what I'm saying. And then Ray and Dom did exactly what I thought it would. I'm just interested. I'm glad the story is not finished. I'm just interested. I'm so vested in the Judgment Day right now.
And,
I
and
just want
Becky Lynch and the other ladies.
yes, the other tag
Trish
match.
Stratus, Lita, and Damage Control.
I felt like
Trish
that
got
was
me.
Trish.
She got me because the outfit, it took me back to
Sure
WrestleMania 21.
Yep.
I think when she
That
was with
throwback to
Christy,
the-
and that's heel Trish. And I kept saying, "Oh, she got that cowboy hat. That's heel Trish."
Trish with the suspenders. I was like, oh, there's some of that dust being sprinkled. So I'm gonna say night one was better. I mean, in my opinion, was more enjoyable. Not to say night two wasn't, but Brock and Omos night two did exactly what you thought it would. That Intercontinental title match, and Brian, you probably gonna laugh when I say this, that then moved up to number one in my book for the Intercontinental title.
Really?
Yes.
I believe it. I believe it.
God, that joke was, man, that thing was good. It was
And
good. All three?
And I knew that those three together, remember, I think I said it right after Royal Rumble. I said, that's the match I want to see. I want to see the triple threat. Because if you watch any of Gunther matches, he has a style that's going to say, pay attention to this match. Watch what I'm going to do. And then you have Sheamus and, Drew
McIntyre.
Yeah, like, what can't you...
Let me tell you this about Gunther.
Yeah,
Gunther was locked in all weekend, right? When we spoke with him, he was like sitting there, like, you know, most people like chill. It's an interview, right? And it's a chance where you ask some fun questions and whatnot. Gunther wasn't having none of that. He was like the real Dwayne Allen at the interview, like, yeah, he's like very respectful, but you knew he was gonna go out there and put on a performance.
Oh yeah, and I can see that. And honestly, that's that combination. You could do that match every premium live event, and it's going to be different every time.
Bro, what?
Because every single Gunther match when he was NXT UK champion, I remember it. You know what I mean? Like he made me remember that match. So that was probably the highlight for me outside of the championship, the WWE Universal blah 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 championship match, because it was so wow. Do I think the wrong person won? I'm like, dang, we missed out on Sheamus yet again. You know, his crowning of being the ultimate Grand Slam champion. You know, and I feel bad for the man, but I'm like, all right, but when is he going to get it? What are we going to do? Like, I get it. We still building Gunther, and I feel like Gunther is there. He hasn't arrived yet, but he doesn't need that Intercontinental title anymore. But I'm just like, well, you going to give us another one of those? I'm okay. The women's tag match, I just feel like the women could have did a little bit more. I was happy that Ronda slid in, but then Monday Night Raw kind of debunked everything that they did on Sunday, because you have Ronda slide in, take it as the heel that she's becoming, and then they're trying to push her to it. And it's like, well, I thought they would get a tag match. But no, we did something different on Monday. So it kind of like, I want to say we'll get there for another story. But yeah, the main event, and I said this to the real Dwayne Allen, all the signs were there, but we were too busy being fanboys to miss those signs. And all I'm going to say is this. I got nervous when Cody Rhodes' music hit and there was no downstep there. I said, where are they? Why are they not performing? I said, oh, man, he's losing. And then when he stepped at the ring and he was looking around, I said, wait a minute, why is Brandy back there? Oh, God, he's not winning. Oh, God, she's behind the announce table. I was like, man, no. And I always say this, and I want y'all to look back at certain matches. When people come down to the ring, watch their expression. You can always tell. One of the biggest ways that you could tell, Big E, when he wrestled for the Intercontinental title the first time, he came out there so amped. I said, oh, he's getting the title when he won the Intercontinental title the first time. When you can always tell that Cody didn't look like Cody. He looked like, let me go do this job. And I was like, I went back and watched it again. I was like,
look at Brandon's face when you said that. You see his face?
Yeah. So seeing that and just the pyro, a little bit extra pyro, and he came down. The match to me was so. Who was it that said? Was it you, Brian, that said Roman Reigns has that ability to kick out and make you on that third, like, oh, that 2.99, whatever. I think you said something.
I saw somebody say that. No, I didn't say that, but
I thought you said it. But it's crazy because Roman does do that, makes you believe they about to get that 3, and it's like at that last possible second. And I'll say this to say,
oh man, I'm not trolling. I swear I'm not trolling. But come on, Steph.
What she said?
We're going to acknowledge it.
She stormed out immediately. Shout out to Stephanie. When she came through, we got to break bread together, have some wings together at the Ring of Wrestling meet and greet. So it was great seeing her.
If you have not watched or subscribed to the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, please head over there and check out her. She has some of the greatest content, some of the greatest coverage in all of professional wrestling, including and not to mention all the women's wrestling content. And she's such a proponent for women's wrestling, such an advocate for equality when it comes to this wrestling business, such a talented podcaster, commentator. She does so many things. So if you hear us talk about her a lot, it's
follow her on Instagram. Yeah, I was gonna say follow her on Instagram because she be throwing out those tidbits. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like she always throw out the women's facts. I'm like, oh, that is right. Oh yeah.
Superior
I think she does it on Instagram and Twitter. Follow her on all the social medias. Just if you're not following her, go do it right now.
Check out her story on breaking through glass ceilings as well. Learn about how she got started.
Excellent story. Something you don't want to miss. Such an inspiration to us all.
Oh, so last thing about this main event. So those near falls got me, but it's something about a Roman Reigns match. I'm starting to remember them more and more because of the story inside of the ring.
He's got that good.
And I just keep remembering them. I'm like, all right, here we go. Oh shoot, this is what he's gonna do. And when he had him in that guillotine, I was like, oh, this is how he loses. But it wasn't. Oh, this is not Spear. This is it. Oh, cross. It was just every time it was like, holy crap. Oh, Solo's got ejected. Here come the Usos. It was like, okay, what else? What else can we do? I was like, and it was another chapter, but it was another chapter. And I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to take it back to you, Dwayne. I'm going to stick to my guns that at the Royal Rumble, the Monday after the Rumble, WWE had one shot to fix it, and they didn't, and we're going to still have this problem. But both belts on one person.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's what I'm going to say.
I hate when you do that. You drop bombs and then say, hand it off to me. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Because that's such a loaded statement to make. And there's so much that I could say, but we haven't.
Monday after Raw, we could have fixed this whole scenario because let's break 2 seconds. Cody said when he first came back, he wanted what?
WWE Championship.
Okay. He won the Rumble, and the Royal Rumble winner gets to do what?
WWE Championship.
Pick. No, they get to pick what they want, right?
Oh, yeah, they get to choose what championship they want to go after. Correct.
They could have got themselves out of this scenario because I believe Roman, at this point, Roman doesn't need to lose until next year Mania if he loses. And don't let him
lose then.
That's a long time.
He doesn't. No, I'm 100% on board now. Don't let him lose till next year if that's the case, right? Let him be the person that made evented the most Mania so he can surpass somebody else that I'm not going to name because I know Brian is probably going to get giddy when I say that. Let them surpass that record. Let him break all the records, right? Next year Mania, dethrone him at that point. But at this point, if Cody would have just came out and said, I'm taking the WWE Championship, because Roman would still have the
The
reign.
Universal Championship, yeah.
Yep, because that's the title that he has the most dates.
Longest,
Not WWE champion, as the Universal Champion. And he has elevated that belt to the point. It's actually, to me, the more important belt. And if you notice the little nuances, he holds that belt up. He makes him hold it to the ring.
He is wearing that WWE Championship more and more. I'm noticing that too.
Yeah, but he always throw his Universal up so he can say, "Look what I'm doing. This is the important belt."
Yeah.
I mean, little things like that, and I'm just.
Well, he's the greatest Universal Champion in a short lineage. You know,
By
first
all
was
means.
Brock Lesnar, but now it's him.
Yeah.
And
And Brock had it for
means.
like 500 days.
Yeah, but he
Did
wasn't.
Yeah, remember when Brock had the belt on the chokehold after he beat Goldberg, and we
the
thought he was
red
gonna lose
strap.
to Roman
Oh,
next year?
Yep.
But then he held it longer till the following SummerSlam.
He did.
Yep.
He did. He
And
made
that's
the
when
title
the
important.
Miz and all of them was the Intercontinental title was the most important belt. Remember, they
Right.
had that whole run when everybody was fighting for that. I'm just telling you, at this point, I'm on the don't let him lose. I'm going to root for Roman until WrestleMania next year. I'm putting it on record right now. I'm going to be rooting. Do not let this man lose. He could take a vacation all the way till next year at the Royal Rumble and just show up. I'm okay. I am perfectly fine. The only thing I don't like is they work themselves into a corner with 2 belts on one person.
I think it was a mistake. Like, I don't think it was on purpose, but it's just, man, he does such a good job, and it just only adds to his dominant character. You know what I mean? Where it's like he was the number one guy as Universal Champion, but then when he got both straps, he was like, well, shoot. Now it makes sense that he would have both.
And he said his family is dominating. That's the little nuances that I don't know if people caught on. Like, they're dominating the industry. You look at what Jacob Fatu is doing. You look at what Lance Onawai and Juicy is doing as MLW Tag Team Champions. You know, they are dominating this industry.
I think it's like you kind of gotta. I think if you're smart, it's for a promoter or an independent or a national brand, you have someone that has ties to the Fatu Onawai family in some way, shape, or form. You kind of like it's kind of like when you promote your show around WrestleMania weekend, like you use what they have to help yourself.
That's why when Jay Bougie beat Lance, what he kept saying, I beat a member of the bloodline, and that raised his stock.
Yeah,
because
Solo was in that situation before Lance's, right? Because for the longest time, Solo was kind of like everybody knew who he was, but he was kind of like the representation of, that the Onawai wrestling dynasty outside of WWE. Like, somebody always outside of WWE carries that load, and it was always Jacob Fatu, and it was Solo at one point, because I remember everybody kept saying he looked like he has it just like the Usos. He had the long braids, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he looks smack like one of the Usos.
And before that, it was the Tongan Kid. It was so many. Back when the Samoan SWAT team was becoming the Head Shrinkers. You had Tonga Kid over there, but then
Tonga Kid, because he was huge outside of WWE, because then he did his gimmick where he was looking like The Rock. Have you ever seen a Tonga Kid dressed up like The Rock?
No, wait, no.
Oh man, you got to see it. Like, he had a gimmick where he was like being like The Rock, and he just looks almost like the guy who plays The Rock in Young Rock, the TV show.
Oh wow.
Oh,
and it was just like, that was kind of his gimmick.
Did y'all finish that season?
I need to go back and watch the last. That's what I should have been watching.
I did.
Don't tell me.
I won't tell you.
That's one of my favorite shows.
Because
Brother Brandon had to catch up. Remember Brother Brandon? So
that's what I was there. I couldn't remember.
I caught up.
You see?
I caught up.
Yep, and that's exactly what I was going at. Shout out to Casual Wrestler. He putting the family on top. And man, look, Roman came in the room like he laughed at everybody, pretty much like, I beat y'all favorites. What y'all do now? And he's somebody who has like that aura about him. You know what I mean? And it's like what I can imagine how people, like, let's just say there was a podcast space and there was a media space in the 90s. People would have felt that same way about The Rock in the late 90s, and Vinnie Mac was
But
right.
here's the thing about Roman, and it's something that we got to really, really think about. He's the first one to do a lot of things right, and he's not getting credit for it, because remember, the WWE champion
first being patient.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like,
that's where it starts,
back, right?
Yeah, because I hated Roman. Never gave him a chance.
He came back, right, and he was the first one wearing the shoes to make you pay attention, right? He was the first one to hold a double belt and do it right. He was the first one to figure out how the heel character will work and not be cheesy. Like, if you think about it, most of the time when all these other promotions that then gave people double belts. Like it's just like, all right, what's the purpose now?
Like Chris Jericho.
No.
You see how he said no.
Hold on.
Hey,
Go left field. So
my bad. I just want to
belt,
see what he was
though.
going to say. My fault. That's on me.
I had a double belt. Hold on, let me show y'all something.
Uh-oh.
That was not a segue, but you picked up what I was putting down.
I mean, you know, thanks to my good brother Brandon.
Look at that.
I had, you know,
he kind of looks like Jericho posing. Like I feel like Jericho was the first person that kind of had the acknowledge me pose without actually saying it.
yeah.
I mean, am I wrong, brother?
Give Jericho credit? Did you just?
I did. I have no problem with Jericho. I just want to see you. I took a dig at him, and I just gave him a compliment. It's all about.
I'm gonna tell y'all though. This was my reaction. Shout out to my my co-host and my manager Ben. He snapped this photo when Cody had a near fall when Cody was this close. I just looked at it. I was like,
yours is almost as bad as my live reaction because I went on live and I deleted it, and I was
what?
I forgot
the way the reaction. This was him on live,
bro. I forgot that I had like left it live on because that was supposed to be my celebration moment, and I was just like,
because I got no.
He was off to the side and everything. It was classic.
Krista was like, "Yo, the Realm just went live," and I was like, "Oh, well, pull it up." My phone was like I said, I had to preserve my battery, and then it was gone.
Bro, I was pissed. I was yeah, I'm not gonna.
That was a moment. I'm glad I got the notification and clicked on what I said. The way
I was devastated.
He was deflated.
I'll tell you this though. This is the one year. This is the one time where people wasn't looking to the back after the match was over. Because like last Survivor Series and last WrestleMania, everybody was like, "Okay, where is he? Is he coming?"
I waited. Nobody I was waiting for something else to happen. Like, no, this can't be it.
Wow.
But
quick recap. Night 1 and night 2. What's your favorite? Go ahead, Brian. What you say?
Oh no, you gotta do that before I answer the question you asked me earlier.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Night 1 and night 2, brother Brandon.
Night 1.
Okay, night 1. So, Brian, as you said, what night did you say, Brian? You said
everybody says night 1. I said for me personally, it was night 2.
Okay, so you said.
I'm sorry. Can I add something? I forgot.
No, by all means. Yeah.
I forgot about Finn Balor and Edge. I liked the match. I was happy because y'all know I'm a demon, enthusiast. I liked him as the demon character. I just hate that he's now keep losing because remember when he came, it was a thing. He never lost at a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I love the entrance because he went back to his old music.
Yeah,
and it felt
that's
like
when I popped.
When that dum, I was like, oh, we going real demon. I thought it was gonna be some hybrid Triple H metal version of his music again, like he did with Judgment Day. And he had I don't know, I appreciate the face paint that he had red and purple in it. And he was, remember when Edge hit him, he was like this. I was like, this is
I gotta go back and watch it now. Because I heard the music. What was it? I know I went to the bathroom right after the entrance. And then because I was like, I can't wait. I was trying to wait to the Hall of Fame. I'm glad. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I didn't. I almost left, but I said, wait, something gonna happen when the Miz and Snoop came out. Shout out to Snoop because that instant, yes,
saved the show.
Exactly.
He's a pro, man.
Did y'all see the cameraman telling him punch Miz? Somebody got video of him.
I saw that. I saw it, but
you ruined it. I thought Snoop was the man, but he still carried it.
He did what he had to do but you couldn't see it. That's how smooth, like from where I was sitting, I was like in the 113s, right? So you couldn't see the cameraman tell him. So that's how like subtle it was. I just seen him go over there like, and then do it again. And then when he hit the people's elbow, I said, first of all, that looked like the people's elbow you hit on your pillow.
Bro, it was so safe. It was so safe. I said it was perfect.
On the fly, it was perfect. But
he saved the segment.
The demon, if you watch the cage match, Edge is bona fide Hall of Famer, but when Finn got hurt, you didn't even notice. He put all the attention on him because thank God.
Is that when he went to get the ladders or something?
Yeah, he just started pulling stuff out. You knew something was wrong, but Edge made sure that he was doing it big. So I
came back and I saw blood. I was like, oh, so they got some color in this match. I didn't realize.
Yeah, but that was
he cracked his head open.
Yeah, I saw that in the car ride home. I was Oof.
And the only problem was I was so sick of Edge versus Finn, but I really think Finn should have won this one.
Me too.
But
God dang it,
But
Brandon. Edge got to win something. He's been getting beat up for a year and a half now.
But he
no, but
beat
he
him
keeps
at
winning the
him and
matches.
him and his wife won. The only thing he lost was Extreme Rules.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
get
the
that.
one time.
All right. Yeah, but he's
You
still
just
gotten beat up a lot,
you just
though.
want him to go away again and come back again because he keep getting beat down and come back and make his triumphant return.
I want him to leave and grow his hair back out and come back with Christian. Am I asking too much, gentlemen?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
And that was what I was looking forward to. I was kind of hoping. I had a little bit of hope that we was gonna see Gangrel and Christian doing it.
Me too.
That wasn't gonna happen.
This much of me was like, come on now, I did that.
Yeah, Tony Khan was like, yeah, they can use them, but you know
how that goes. But
that would have been a great moment.
It would have been. So you said night one, Brandon. You say night two.
Yeah, I know. Not like I mean, fooling myself. Night one was the better, or as far as the wrestling, But yeah, for me personally, night two.
All right. Well, like I said, gentlemen, you believe it or not, we're close to wrapping this thing up. Told you we're not sticking around here long, man. But
going home.
Yeah, we wrapping this up. So back to you, Brian H.
Yes, sir.
We probably got about maybe 10 or 15 minutes that we're going to kind of drag out of this. But I asked you a question previously, and I asked you about night one. There was rumors. I don't know how legitimate it was. We're just fans, about Charlotte and Rhea was supposed to main event night one, or they were set to. And after a while, it kind of got out that it was speculation that it might be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos for the WWE Tag Team Champions. First time we get a Tag Team Championship as a main event. To main event WrestleMania, was it the right call or not?
1000% the right call.
Okay.
What we saw was so much in that, right? Now, before I get into that, I can understand why people say Charlotte and Rhea on the strength of Rhea won the Royal Rumble. So if you want to do something where, okay, the Royal Rumble winner is main event automatically, right? Let's just say, pencil in every time the Royal Rumble, night one, the Royal Rumble winner, night one and night two is a Royal Rumble winner. You just decide which one, right? I can understand that. But in this case, like Brandon said earlier, the strongest story. I also will say this. The tag team titles have been made more important than they have been in a long time.
Facts. That's very true.
Yeah, no, I ain't gonna do it. But yeah, this
Realm After Dark.
No, what I was gonna say is, I really have to dig deep and think: are these not the most important wrestlers in a tag team championship match at WrestleMania since WrestleMania 9? When you got Hulk Hogan challenging for the tag titles. Now, understanding how big Hulk Hogan is in 93, right?
Right.
And you got him in a tag match. First time ever he was on the undercard. That's what I was going at. But like I said, I got to think between now and then, right? But definitely you have a former world champion in Kevin Owens, a guy who main evented WrestleMania the year before with Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? You got Sami Zayn, who was just made into a top guy, right? Then you have the Usos, who are top guys as tag teams, but also individuals. You know what I mean? Those guys they draw money. So I think, especially with that feel-good story, man, like I said, the way the place erupted.
It was like redemption, finally.
It was definitely redemption, right? And a lot of people said, we're not going to like this. If you mean tell me Sami Zayn's big moment is going to be at WrestleMania with the tag titles. Well, first they said tag titles, but if you think about it, he won with his best friend. You saw the emotions. It was real. You know what I mean?
Have you seen the previous tag team championships they won together? Have you seen the picture of them winning? They I don't know. I think it was PWG somewhere else. I don't think it was Ring of Honor, but it might have been Ring of Honor. And then they had the 3 comparison photos.
Oh wow, I didn't see that because I was like, they never won the WWE tag titles, right?
No, they put a clause together. First, it was I think it's 2 photos of them as Kevin and El Generico, and then they had the last one with him and Sammy holding the WWE tag champions. And I was like, so Taekwondo said it was Ring of Honor. I thought it was, but it was early years. Matter of fact, early years. I think they faced off against the Briscoes. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
I think that was one of the matches.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It was a Ring of Honor tag titles.
PWG.
Yeah. And then picture of them holding the
And,
WWE Tag Team Championship.
and that's the thing, right? First of all, you know, they gave him they gave the moment, right? Usos come out first, Kevin Owens come out first, but then Sammy's music hit, place erupts, you know, and then the story they told. Like I went back and we rewatched the match,
Right.
and I was like, man, it's loud on here, and it still doesn't do it justice. And you know, I said, you know, I was, y'all know how I get. I'm in full wrestling fan mode, so I'm standing to the side like this, upset. Everybody, you know, my whole team laughing. You know, what you think was gonna happen? Yada yada yada. The kid, little Zach, he's sitting up there. He happy because I was like, oh, you made your choice. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of fun. But I was like, you know what? Deep down inside, take away the kayfabe. I am so happy for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know, for like all that they done, all they contributed. And so yeah, this was definitely the right story. This was the right match. And I mean, at the end of the day, Rhea's a heel too.
Sure,
You know, you're not gonna send the fans home unhappy both nights. Last year, let's not forget, Brock was the babyface going into the match. People forget about that. So you're not, you're gonna send the fans home happy.
Not a
Like
babyface no
you
more.
know, they had it right. You know, had heels win 3
Champ.
years in a row at WrestleMania to close out the show. So, but yeah, I thought this was great. It was a beautiful story told, and I'm excited to see what they do from here.
Well, it sounds like we had a good overall WrestleMania for WrestleMania 39 in Hollywood, as good as expected. I think a lot of people maybe felt that The Rock was going to go into the Hall of Fame this year just because of his success in Hollywood and he's kind of one of the poster child or poster children of Hollywood. But
I want them to
overall,
bring WrestleMania back to Miami.
there's no doubt in my mind that at some point
Yeah.
down the line, it doesn't make its way. It just seems kind of almost like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? And then you can celebrate the anniversary when you first went to Miami, WrestleMania. And
Yeah.
so like I said, it was a good WrestleMania overall. My cat is standing up because he got attitude. I'm not letting you out the room, so you got to get over it. I'm on the show. He's got attitude looking at me. But great WrestleMania. I enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. This is the WrestleMania that kind of got me out of my character, which is good. You know what I mean? Because you watch WrestleMania, you watch wrestling. After a while, it can become pretty stagnant, and you can kind of catch on the flow of everything. But I watched it with my family, and they were just as pissed. They were like, man, it was so bad. They were like, I don't think I want to watch. I'm sick of Roman always cheating. Like like the people in my house were like, really, like everybody went to bed just pissed. Like, nah, I'm done with this, man. I'm sick of it. He always find a way to cheat, and like it was not like no like great show. No, everybody was genuinely pissed because they're like, I'm sick of him always cheating. You always got to, and including myself. Brother Brandon saw the footage, and I was sitting there like, yo, I was 100% sold. Night 2, Cody.
I kept doing this during night 1, and I kept popping everybody near me during night 1 when the Usos was losing. Solo, because he didn't show up, and I'm like, where is he? Where is he? But when it all counted, where he wanted to make sure he's still eating good steak and good sushi and flying on the private jets, he showed up.
Couple takeaways from WrestleMania.
He's ready.
It's definitely, and I'm glad you mentioned, because this is what I'm segueing to. I'm glad you brought up Brian H, because a couple takeaways from WrestleMania and this storyline in general. There's a couple things that I had to come to grips with that one, Bully Ray touched on, and two, Brian H, you just kind of touched on it a few seconds ago. I'm seeing the next version of the Bloodline kind of be all about Solo now, right? You're seeing this kind of private build and a focus put on him because he's been the kind of the mystique of the group. He's just been the
months ago.
I mean, he did. He's been the baby muscle, but
you called this months ago, right here.
I
on
did,
the
man.
Podcast.
I try to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And I'm watching him now have a larger role. You know what I mean? It's not about the group anymore. The Bloodline's not necessarily. The Usos are kind of being shunned by Roman, as we saw. And Solo is being Roman is harder on him. Usually means that he's grooming him to make sure that he can depend on Solo more than anybody, because I can see this whole thing. I can see there's obviously a rift between Roman Reigns and the Usos, and I think that's the new story that they're going to tell, which is absolutely wonderful. The thing with Cody Rhodes.
Solo was wearing his own shirt. You notice that?
Solo was wearing his own shirt. You know what I mean? Like his action figure is set to come out soon. So it's like, man, it's almost like
Speaking of action figures, real quick.
Yep.
Go to Patreon. I give you a nice tour in the Superstore.
Oh yes.
Only $1 exclusive video. And I sent it to the real Dwayne Allen. I say, I'm about to put this on the Patreon.
And I was locked all the way in.
I said, man, I was standing there next to Kaz. I don't even know if you heard me. I said, yo, this was my boy Dwayne. I gotta send him this.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
I said, look,
we didn't get them about belts though.
See, there it is.
Because, like, first of all, that's in the center of the store, and I will say this: they had the Evolution belt on sale for $2,000 with a signature. They had that one. I saw the Kurt Angle belt you was talking about from a distance, but you know, I kind of like told a couple people don't buy the belts. I said, look, go in the Superstore, go on WWEshop.com and get your belt. But I didn't get my side plates yet. I'm gonna order my side plates soon.
How did you feel about them kind of merging, kind of like what would have been accessed in kind of the Superstore a little, as much as possible? Would it give you a lot more displays because they didn't do the full-fledged convention style access like they usually do?
It was cool. I guess because I don't know that it's different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's also probably a sanitary thing. Not so many people like climbing the ladders, jumping in the ball. Well, the ring and stuff.
I think it's also a money saver too, though. That's one of the things that goes into the budget.
I wish y'all could have got to experience that though.
I think they would do it eventually at some point. I think now it's still too fresh.
Yeah, but it was cool. And this is free for everybody, so it's probably something that they figured people wasn't gonna pay for. Like you said, money saver. Because last year you had to pay to get into the Superstore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Really?
you had to pay to get in. Because I remember at one point last year I gave Krista my pass, but you had to pay to get in and then walk around, and then certain stuff you had to pay for, like different photo ops or whatever. I was, because like we was literally doing our podcast in there. Now they did have a section where if you wanted to come see our interviews, because it was like from Priority Pass. So like before it was busted open before us, and then like Ryan Satin was doing some stuff, then Daniel Cormier was doing some stuff. So you could watch these interviews and you could sit over there and play the video games. It's kind of like a chill spot.
Okay.
Yeah, but they did have the video games outside in the general area too. But it's cool. It's different, And I also wonder if it was a space thing too, just because of where it was.
Sure.
Because it was literally like the LA Convention Center was right next to the Crypto,
right?
The house of Kobe Bryant. That's still Staples Center to me.
Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely Staples Center to me, but yeah, man, it's a lot to come. But like I said, the shock of the night to me was the surprise of the night was the showcase match between the tag teams. Ricochet showed off. But that match, like I'm glad he called it a showcase match. It's because let's just call it what it is. It's a chance for the talent to have this kind of the spot monkey fest, which I think is a place for. And I think they did a great job with that with them in the women's match. The Cody Rhodes thing threw me for a loop, but Bully Ray said something on Busted Open Radio that made a lot of sense that I spoke about with Brother Brandon maybe the day after, and he was just saying like that I think we all thought he was going to have this triumphant return, just be anointed king, but he said no, that's not even what Dusty would have done. He's like, this is his version of hard times now. That's because Cody sold us on how the story was supposed to end, and we believed him. And he's like, no, it's going to be this way because my father didn't do it. This is how it's going to be. And now, like, no, you got to kind of walk your father's path, but you just have to complete this journey. But it's not the journey. Your father's journey didn't come in it come in right away and immediately. When the title, first thing I called Brandon, I was like, brother, Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, what are you talking about? I said, Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes, man. That's the freaking blueprint. I said, oh, shoot. I wasn't even paying attention. I said, Cody, like Dusty Rhodes fought Ric Flair in the Four Horsemen on so many different occasions. So by the time Dusty Rhodes did finally win the title, it was such a big deal because there was this feeling of hero's triumph. And I'm just like, man, Cody got us because we thought it was all about winning the championship that his father never attained to. And it was like, no, this guy's going to finish his father's story, but he's got to go through it first. Mind blown. Didn't see it coming. I'm not going to get into it now because I said we're not going to stay on here long. But we'll say that for a different platform, different conversation, different place to go. But One last question, one last thing we have to address. Go ahead, Brian H. You put that.
No,
thing-
I was just
no. Go ahead and pose. Go ahead. No, take the time and pose. I'm like, put up the ones. I'm like, he's putting
And
up his
before you
ones.
ask that last question, let me ask you this, and this is just something to ponder.
By all means.
If anybody thinks that night one main event wasn't the right choice, imagine that match going on before the women's match.
No, it would have made the women look bad.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
like
That's why.
that's Triple H and Randy Orton after Shawn Michaels and Undertaker.
Yes.
And you know what
exactly.
the crazy? The women put on a hell of a match. You know,
Yeah,
one of
They
the,
did. It was
one of the
that
best matches in WrestleMania history. It's
Yeah,
just
facts,
that it was in the
facts.
right spot. Both matches was in the right spot because that was definitely one of the, if not the greatest tag team match in WrestleMania history. As far as 2-on-2, I'm not comparing those triple threat, those triangle ladder matches. They're in a different class by themselves. But as far as
this is a
2-on-2,
traditional tag team match.
I mean,
Mhm.
you're getting Triple H Jericho after Rock and Hogan. No offense, Brandon.
yeah, because everybody would have
absolutely.
been emotionally exhausted.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was yeah.
The
Because
place would have been deflated. They were like, "Well, how do we cheer for this now?" You know, or I already seen what I came to say. Not to discredit Charlotte and Rhea, it would have been like, "Okay, that was the meat and potatoes of WrestleMania night one." Those two matches.
They knew what the heck they were doing because after Cody Rhodes lost the room, I was done with wrestling. I said, I'm finished. I can't take another. I was supposed to go back and watch the Hall of Fame tonight. I said, screw it. I'm not. Leave me alone.
I was gonna go back and watch Stand and Deliver. I didn't even watch that. I said,
Nope.
okay.
I said, I'm
you
done. I need
tripping.
to
Stand and Deliver is good. I'm looking at it now.
I had to go back and get myself together. But last question before we get out of here, and we don't have to take too long.
No, I didn't meet Victor Newman, Raj.
Wow. Do you see what it said though? Vince Newman. Anyway. WWE has been sold to Endeavor Sports. They have merged with Endeavor Sports along with UFC to create a $21 billion live sports entity with Vince McMahon in exchange for a controlling stake in the WWE. He has been named executive chairman over this joint venture now, right? So he's executive chairman over WWE, I guess UFC, and I guess whatever portion of Endeavor Sports. I'm not too familiar, but I'm sure I'll do my research at some point in regards to how that's all going to work. And there was rumors about Vince being in charge of creative again. When they asked him, "Are you in charge of creative?" He said yes and no. He said only on major decisions, but he won't be in the weeds anymore. And there was speculation and rumors come out about how Monday Night Raw fell flat because of once again there was rumors of script changes, last minute stuff like that, and that has Vince McMahon's fingers written all over it. And immediately the fans got worried. Now the conflicting part was Triple H came out. It seemed like he kind of cut a promo like we're not going anywhere. So I don't know. Are you telling Vince that you're like, not you can come back if you want, but we're still gonna push the envelope and do what we do? You know what I mean? Or was that him just trying to smooth things over and trying to add, try to not allow that to disrupt people or make them uncomfortable because I'm sure some portion of that statement may have been true or may be true, but I know dirt sheets are dirt sheets, and people say all kind of things in exchange for money to be relevant. But what do you guys think about Vince McMahon having a say so in creative again? Maybe not necessarily like controlling it 100%, but having now the ability to overstep his bounds, veto some things, and kind of put his input in spaces where he couldn't necessarily do that before. Which doesn't make sense to me, is because he was the majority owner as far as the shareholder were concerned. That means he should have the right to do it anyway, and he didn't kind of do it. You know what I mean? That's not something. If he did have something, it wasn't obvious. So while all of a sudden he sells a controlling stake in his company, he retains the same position as executive chairman, which he was when he pretty much owned the company. While all of a sudden now is he considered to be in charge of creative or whatever? I don't know how that goes as far as business is concerned, or the way WWE's business structure was set up in the whole situation with him. But what do you guys say? I mean, you don't have to necessarily address the rumors, but what do you think about Vince having a say so in creative?
Well, Dylan just said it. SmackDown will be a telling sign. One of the things is he said he ain't gonna be in the weeds no more. So it means he's not gonna be doing a lot of traveling. I mean, this was easy. It was in Hollywood. He went there to go, finish the sale, finish the job, and he was right there. SmackDown's in Portland. Is he going to go to Portland? Is he going to be back on the road?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. We gotta wait. We'll see what happens. I'll wait till then.
Because they
But
said this before, remember? They all,
yeah,
and that wasn't necessarily the case. Triple H made it very clear, like, hey,
hmm
no, that's not the case. I know it seems like I know he's back in the office, but Vince has
yeah,
said I firmly trust Triple H. He's in charge.
yeah, and that's exactly. So I think we're gonna look at this. I'm hoping within 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and say, okay, Raw after Mania was a dud. It was a mistake, and all the rights have been wrong. I tell you one thing,
Mm-hmm.
Jay White hurry up and made his decision. He's
Now,
all elite.
is that true, or is that
Well, he's all elite. It was the he showed up on AEW Dynamite, and Tony Khan put the graphic out there. It's underwhelming.
So that was today?
Yeah, that was today.
Okay, got it.
Because the rumor, you saw the rumor that he was WWE was no longer pursuing him. That's the rumor.
I don't know how much he was really. You know what I mean?
That's another thing, right? So who knows? But I think that this could be interesting, especially when you start to see just the business model of when they, all right, a couple years ago, right? What was the year I left ESPN? 2015. That was the year WWE
Right.
had just got the deal or whatever with them, right? When ESPN was going to start covering WWE more. Coach said he wanted to create a fight weekend, right? Where ESPN would they would go to, because like in Brooklyn it was SummerSlam, and then it might have been something else nearby. It was a UFC nearby, right? And he wanted to create like this super fight coverage weekend. I think now having both of these companies in bed together, you might start to see that, right? So let's just say next year, Wrestlemania, you might have a UFC event in Philly or right on the outskirts of Jersey. And now you got this big super weekend. The main thing I'm really looking forward to, and really, to be honest, which is kind of concerning, is hoping to stay on Peacock. Don't do nothing else where it's like UFC Plus, right? And then you got to still pay for the pay-per-view. I don't want to go back to paying for pay-per-views. That's, jumping
Amen, brother. Amen.
To the business side of things. Keep that deal with Peacock so I can still stream.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that because they make too much money from Peacock. That's almost $1 billion. That's another $1 billion deal, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, and it is. But even if they say, okay, well, look, we can still keep all the shows on there, but we're gonna take away the premium live events.
Okay, so you more concerned about the pay-per-views, the premium.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I know they're gonna probably keep all the stuff on there. Just don't take away the premium live events. Don't make us pay extra. You know what I mean?
Well, you gotta wait 3 months to see the pay-per-view for free on Peacock.
So what if they bring
what ROH is doing? Because ROH is you gotta wait months to see the pay-per-view on ROH streaming service on Honor Club.
So you don't want to bring back the WWE Network?
Oh, yeah, but not at the cost of paying per pay-per-view or premium live event.
But was it always the case though? Like, wasn't it if you had the network, it was already paid for?
Yeah, but I think I'm wondering with this new endeavor, you got these heads in the same building, and they saying, well, look, people still pay for it. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I guess you got a point because, like I said, if you have Comcast, you have Xfinity, you got Peacock. You know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of like a plus part of your bill. Okay, brother Brandon, what's your take before we get out of here? Because we're told you we're out of here, brothers.
First Endeavor, like I was just doing some research on them, seeing what people are saying, looking them up. In a nutshell, they're like a talent management company where they manage the different stars. So that's a plus right there. Second plus is when you look at the sale, they own 51% of WWE, and WWE still has 49% of the shares, all that stuff. So it's still WWE, and they're keeping the presidents the same. The Khan is going to be on one, Dana White on the other. So it's good. It looks like they're going to function as two different entities with the same parent company. I look at it like, how all these different movie companies and all these different broadcasters are under one umbrella, but it's like, okay, we know Marvel is under Disney, but it's still Marvel.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
Thing it's going to be
sort of a parent company thing. Yeah.
But I do think we're going to get a lot more integration with them, and it's going to be a more seamless thing where they don't have to do a Twitter war. It can be somebody showing up freely. The only thing is, and you might correct me if I'm wrong, with UFC, they're heavy on the sponsorships per person because their contracts are different. So, like,
Sure.
Brian could have Pepsi, you could have Coke, and we both be UFC fighters. It's not like a thing where, no, you got to have Snickers or like WWE does. Speaking of which, thank God we didn't get a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. We only got advertisement. But
Bro, I was waiting for the bowls and the cereal box.
Hold on now. Let me show y'all something though.
He's got a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh my God, with Rey Mysterio. So then the other thing is, this
wow, look at that.
Feedback.
Shout out to WWE for this one.
Y'all know Shane McMahon was trying to get Vince to buy UFC, ironically, which would have made sense for the talent, but I think it would have been the death of UFC because at the time WWE was so family oriented. I don't want to say PG-13 because that sounds horrible, but as long as this motivational speech that Triple H did doesn't lead to somebody disappearing, because every time there's a motivational speech and something happens, somebody disappears within a day or two. So I've been kind of nervous lately because he said that and then Raw fell flat. And then all these reports, oh, Vince is back. I think a lot of people are jumping through the loops. I think this merger makes sense because what if Disney would have brought him? We would have Captain America versus John Cena. You know what I mean? So I'm just giving you an idea. If Saudi Arabia would have bought it, there would have been no shows in the United States. Wrestlemania would be in Saudi Arabia. You know, I think that this was the safest thing to keep the product where it is, because anybody else, and there's other companies could have brought it, but they would have brought it and said, goodbye, Vince McMahon. This is what it is. We would have had stuff. We probably would have been more commercialized, and we would see people rings gear with Snickers going down the side of their pants. You know what I mean? So this was probably the safest bet and the most thing to get us keep the fans happy, but I really do see more now. It's not going to be SummerSlam. We're going to see a cross promotion by next year. This time, it'll be WWE, not necessarily a forbidden door type of thing, but oh, look who's in the crowd. Oh,
sure, that cross advertising thing. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, look, Ronda Rousey is back at UFC because they in Las Vegas.
Undertaker and Michelle McCool in the audience that trying to, you know, and they probably can advertise on it. Undertaker will be here, special guest UFC event.
And I don't think they would. I don't know if you noticed, this was the first time at a premium live event. And I don't know if I just missed it. And they kept saying, if you're a subscriber of Peacock Premium, you'll see this. Or not, we'll be right back after the commercial break. I was like, are they really plugging people to upgrade their subscription if you don't already have it? Because Brian called me out when he came over. He's like, oh, you got to watch commercials. I was like, I ain't paying extra for. I'm getting the same premium live event that you're getting, but I don't need another commercial full of a story because they're going to show it to me anyway. So I just hope if we go back to the WWE Network, go back to the $9.99 or even a tier model where you get this, you get that. Because I would pay for the old WWE Network. I would pay $9.99, $19.99 if that means I got every pay-per-view for free, but I could search like I used to with the WWE Network. Yeah. If I could get that, because Peacock is giving us a lot of exclusives, but WWE Network was on the brink of giving us those exclusives at first. And remember, the WWE Network still exists in certain parts of the world. It's just that Peacock is in the United States for us. So it could make a return, and I wouldn't mind a WWE UFC Plus or whatever they want to call it, or if they want to call it Endeavor Plus. I don't know why we keep saying this Plus with everything, but I'll be perfectly fine. The
WWE Black.
Wow.
Why would it be black and gold? But I'm excited to see what's going to happen because this was probably the safest bet. It's kind of when I looked at it, I said, oh, it's like when, and this will date my age, when Providence disappeared and Wachovia showed up. It's not that the bank went away, it just changed its name.
Wow.
Thing with all these banks that's disappearing, but they're getting absorbed by other banks.
Yeah,
it's still the product is still there.
Does that a lot.
And look at Sprint and T-Mobile. Sprint disappeared, but you
First
still
say, we're merging together, and then all of a sudden there's no Sprint, it's just T-Mobile.
Yep, but I think this is probably the safest bet that because you can't have WWE disappear. It can't become UFC because you're not going to have Brian with his two kids go to WWE and go to UFC at the same time. Brian's going to go with Dwayne to UFC. Brian's not going to take his two kids to UFC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was a very prominent point that you made. Is that it's in a situation where you have a parent company that's like, we're in the live event business. You know what I mean? It's not like they don't have an agenda for the product. They're like, no, we like what you do, but let's join these our resources together so we can turn this into a bigger situation for both these companies. We can take UFC to new heights. We can take WWE to new heights together underneath this one umbrella. Like I say, I mean, it's estimated $21 billion joint venture at the end of the day. You know, especially Vince McMahon getting older at this point and just kind of trying to find outside security of not having to be responsible for the company anymore. And you know, he got his money's worth. You know, he got his $9.9 billion, whatever he's looking for. But yeah, we're not gonna harp on that for too long. We're gonna wait and see what happens at the end of the day. I trust Triple H as long as he's in charge. Will, like I said, will if this gets out of hand, screw it. I don't even give a crap. I don't care. I will watch old stuff. You know how I get down. But
I'm going to a coma.
listen to me. I don't care. I'm telling you, I've seen enough good wrestling. I will live from 2023 on back if I have to. So
Yeah, Greg, what you watching? Wrestling from 2015.
yeah, AEW. I'm going to get into. I'm going to try to watch more AEW now, just with their roster of Adam Cole being back and Jay White signing with AEW. Huge additions. It's the only reason I want him to sign with WWE is for selfish reasons. Is because I want him to get a Mattel Elite action figure. But getting a Jazz Wears figure from AEW is just as good, and I feel like we have hope now because he has officially signed, and they work really really fast. So I'm looking forward to get. I'm just happy that he's with one of the main companies, so I finally get my Jay White action figure. So I'm okay with it. And I think he has a better chance to be a bigger star in AEW immediately. He wasn't as big of a star coming out of New Japan as a Kenny Omega was. So I just didn't really see him fitting into WWE anywhere. I don't think the WWE audience will be overly familiar with Jay White as they would have been with anybody else. So yeah,
I will say
AEW,
this though, before we close out, Bryan Danielson tonight reminded me of fickle Daniel Bryan. He is
there you
ruthless. And then especially when he put the screw in Adam Page's face, they are really coming to beat people up. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see this.
Yeah. So this is what I've been looking for. I need star power. I need great matchups. I need things that make sense to me, and I don't have time for an entire show full of people that you're going to rebuild. Like I turned to TNA back in 2004 is because I saw Billy Gunn on the show. I saw Jeff Jarrett on the show. I saw Buzz Hair, Kevin Nash on the show. I saw Sean Waltman do a run, and I was like, wait a minute. I saw Rhino do it. Like everybody that's not in WWE right now, that all my favorites from WCW and ECW are in this TNA place. You know what I mean? Like that was enough. And I learned about the Sanjay Dutts. I learned about the AJ Styles. I learned about the Christopher Daniels and the Elix Skippers and the America's Most Wanted. You know what I mean? But you know, that's what I've been looking for from AEW's these matches. I need important names to help make me care about these other names you have there. So if there's ever a time to give, I don't think AEW is ever going to get it right, to be honest with you. But it's as long as it's better than what it was, man. I can enjoy the match.
They stop making major announcements, they'll be okay.
Yeah, just keep out Nigel McGuinness.
They're going to London.
White. Okay, that's nice.
So, that's a press release. That's not I got
exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a press release.
That's exactly what that is. But we're not going to talk negative about AEW, even though never mind.
Yes, we are. Because
on that note,
no longer a gangster. Yeah, I said it. He's no longer a gangster.
Hooker's always a big gangster. Come on, cut it out. Hooker's that dude. I don't know why he's got it. I didn't know FTW was like a real championship that you defend, but I guess wrestling doesn't have to make sense. It was wrestling, right? Look, anyways, bye. On that note, brothers, great WrestleMania recap. I'm glad we had a great show. First night back from WrestleMania, and I guess we start the new wrestling school year, the new wrestling season in sports. So I'm looking forward to it, brothers. We have lots to get to after this. So I guess on that note, we out. Peace.
Houston, we have a problem.